Okay, welcome back to Mile High Hoops. Today we're talking about the OKC Thunder. They are another tanking team taking the NBA 2K MyLeague, be as trash as you can for as many seasons, and get good through the draft approach, more so than any other team ever, probably. So today we're going to be mostly talking about some of the young guys on their team. Not much about on court because their on court for the next season or two is not really going to matter. And a lot about draft picks themselves. So let's strap in, like, subscribe, and let's get right into it. All right, so we'll start with the elephant in the room, which is their second overall pick, Chet Holmgren. So he started the summer league and was getting double doubles with a good amount of blocks, steals, a couple assists here and there. He was looking really good. As a throwback to my last video talking about skinny, tall players, Chet was someone coming into the draft that I didn't believe in at all. And then summer league started, and I immediately ate all my words. But in some of those, I think it was the Jamal Crawford event where he got hurt trying to defend LeBron. He has that Liz Frank injury in his foot, which has him out for the entire season. So, not a great start for his career. You'd probably almost rather your tall guy have an ACL tear than a foot injury because foot injuries are just nagging and never really get any better. I feel like, especially for a tall guy, they're worse. But the one that I think about the most is probably Otto Porter Jr. He was load managed this last season with the Warriors quite a bit, and most of the rest of his career was kind of nagged from that foot injury. We also think about Kevin Durant's early career. He had a lot of foot issues going on, but we all know how his career has kind of turned out. We can kind of only hope that, like in this off season, while Chet's injured, he can kind of be strengthening up the rest of his body. I'm not too sure what kind of exercise he can even be doing because a foot injury just kind of ruins everything. Just such a high demand in your chain of motion. So hopefully the training staff can get something developed for him, especially once he gets that mostly healed, if he can start building some strength in some other areas. Now, the next guy I want to talk about is Josh Giddey. At 6'8", he had a pretty good rookie season as far as a distributor, rebounder. Not much as a defender or shooter, which is okay. I feel like those things kind of come as you age a little bit more. Seeing that he has that vision on the court is a good start. And then as far as like the shooting goes, he shot four threes a game at 26%, which is pretty bad. But I mean, a summer and extra work, I mean, getting to 32 or something isn't too hard for him, I bet. His turnover numbers are incredibly high, up at 3.2 per game. But again, young team, they weren't really winning any games. So he kind of had all the opportunities just to be running around, throwing the ball everywhere, trying to make all the highlights. And so, I mean, these things, the more experience, the more tightened up his game will be. I just expect as he kind of ages, these percentages to kind of go up and these turnover numbers to maybe not go down, but for his assist number to go up, so then his assist to turnover ratio can kind of level out and be not as ugly. Now, another guy I think is interesting is Pokashevsky. I don't even know how his first name is pronounced, but last year was his second year in the league, and you didn't really see any improvement across the board on any of his stats, any of his shooting splits, his turnovers, rebounds, really anything. But he's a 7 footer, and he's really young, and he has some pretty good guard skills. He does average 2 assists a game. He does turn it over 1.5 times though. So I think the ideal mold for him is to just continue working on the guard skills, continue working on the shooting. His 3-point percentage is only at 28.9%, which definitely could be better. If he could get up to like 35, 37, and they could plug him in at like a power forward spot or like center, really, especially while Chet's gone, then I think he would fit pretty well. I don't know what his long-term role would be on this team, maybe as a guy coming off the bench or something for them. Um, but really, the shooting splits just really got to get better. And I mean, his free throw percentage is at 70, which is kind of something good to look at. I mean, maybe his form isn't as broken as it would like as his 3-point percentage would lead you to believe. So, um, yeah, 3-point shooting, get better on the rebounds, and if he could block some more shots, maybe too. Now, Darius Baisley is the next guy, and I think he's going to be a much better fit as like the full-time power forward on this team. His stats are basically identical to Poku's, but I see Baisley as like this super athletic, can't really shoot quite yet, but working on it type of guy. I think his ceiling is kind of like John Collins, and I think for this Thunder team, having this crazy hyper athletic guy that could potentially fill into like a stretch big two spot would be great for them. I mean, they've got all these different creators with Josh Giddey and SGA that, I mean, having this guy to throw lobs to in pick and rolls, pick and pops would just be a huge boon for them. He makes these explosive plays with like cutting to the rim and getting huge dunks. So I think he'd fit in at that four spot a little bit better for them. Now, I don't know how many people have this guy on their radar, but I like Villanova. So Villanova guys kind of catch my radar a little bit. Jeremiah Robinson Earl didn't play a whole lot for him last season. I mean, 49 games, 22 minutes a game. Shot the three at 35%. Pretty dang good. Didn't turn the ball over too much. Got a good amount of rebounds. And I don't really see a place where Robinson Earl like improves vastly on his game. I think it's like a bench stretch big that can just really get down low and catch a lot of rebounds and kind of dish it back out to like 3-point shooters is his role. He really reminds me of like the older David Lee on the Warriors when they were making their like first NBA championship run. So I see this guy maybe getting like a very cheap extension when that comes up, and I think he'd be a good fit on their bench for them. On to another situation. Lou Dort. So Lou Dort just got, I believe, an $80 million extension, which a lot of people thought was an overpay. I've been really high on Lou Dort for a little while now. I remember posting in some comment thread saying that the Golden State Warriors should have looked to move that 14th pick or the 7th pick, either Moses Moody or Kuminga, last season for Lou Dort, because I think like Lou Dort is just like this crazy, scrappy on-ball defender that is basically Patrick Beverly, but just like better and young at this point. So, I mean, for Lou Dort, he played 32 minutes for them, only was 40% from the field, 33% from the three-point line. He shot the most threes on the team, which is kind of surprising. Shot really well from the free throw line, 84%. Didn't get too many rebounds, got 4 a game, didn't really get many assists, 1.7. Didn't turn the ball over too much, even though he had it in his hands quite a bit. Steal numbers are a little low, actually, for what you'd assume, but he got zero point 0.9 a game. But I really think that Lou Dort really fits this like great role on any team where he can just clamp up anybody 1 through 3, and will kind of get it back on the other end as well, like hitting some threes. And the going rate for these guards that can defend a lot of positions and can kind of shoot the three a little bit is just really going up in price and value. And so, like, I think signing Lou Dort for this extension for them is quite a good thing. I mean, they don't really have much money on the books right now, other than these young guys that they're drafting, because those high draft picks kind of get like around 12 million a year, and so those extensions on those guys won't come up for a little while either. So I think it's a good move signing him long term like this. And the worst case scenario is that if he does get a little bit better, but like they want to move off of him, all they have to do is just trade him with like 2 years left on his deal. And I mean, I think he'll be very movable at that time. Now, onto the best player on this team by not even a close margin, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. He averaged 24 and a half points for them in 56 games. They shut him down last season. His three-point percentage wasn't great, 30% on 5 attempts. Free throws are good. Gets about 4.5 rebounds, or no, 5 rebounds, my bad, and about 6 assists. Turnovers aren't too terrible, but it's 2.8. I see that Shea Gilgeous this next season will pretty much be playing about that same number of games, and then the Thunder will shut him down again. The issue that most people are talking about is that, I mean, Shea's seen NBA playoff time with the Clippers, and being on this young team with a bunch of trash cans and some young guys that are pretty good, like, how long will he want to stay on the Thunder for this rebuild? I think a good move for the Thunder themselves would be to explore trade options. I don't know which team is lining up to trade for a young guard right now. I mean, I'm sure most teams that are rebuilding right now would want him, especially those ones that do have some key, like, big name talents already. It's just an issue with some of these top end teams. Like, what do you trade for him that improves you right now without stripping away like all of your depth or anything? And so I think maybe a season or two away from now will be when we'll see him get moved off. Okay, so this is getting really long, but we'll talk about most of their draft picks now. And as of right now, they have 19 first round picks and 19 second round picks. So they have most of their own as of right now. And then they have swap rights with the Clippers from the Paul George deal. I think the most interesting ones are some of those Clippers ones, as well as the Rockets ones from the Westbrook trade. So not next year, but the year after, 2024, they have a Rockets first round pick that's top four protected. So the Rockets are in a little bit of a rush to be either really, really bad or be good enough to where that pick doesn't hurt too bad to lose. And I only say the Clippers picks are interesting because of how volatile their roster has been. I mean, Kawhi, ever since the Zaza incident, has been extremely fragile. Paul George has been dealing with shoulder issues for the last 3 or 4 years. Now they signed John Wall, and John Wall has been just an injury mess lately, which sucks because I love John Wall. He's so fun to watch. And then the rest of the roster is just pretty dang old. So, I mean, some of these picks down in like 2025 and 2026 and all this, we're getting to the point where those picks could be very valuable. And at that point in time, like, the Thunder might have enough young and like slightly experienced younger players that are good that they could use those picks to either select another like superstar rookie or just trade for one of these like guys that is young now that's pretty dang good, that are just like all-star levels by then. And so I think they put themselves in a really good position to be very successful. Definitely not within the next 2 years, Um, but then we also do have to mention the same thing as with the Jazz video, is that they're heavily lined up for the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. So I won't go into depth with that since we did in the last video, but they have all these picks to be able to trade up or to just be bad enough to get it this year, get to that first overall pick. And so I think they're in a good spot. And like predicting wins, I don't think matters. They're going to win like 20, maybe. Like if they catch a roll early in the season, I'm sure they'll just like shut down SGA or something and make sure they're as bad as possible. So with all that being said, thanks again for listening. Like, subscribe, all that. And stay tuned for the next one. That'll be tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see which team that is, but we'll see you then.